Howdy folks, thanks for coming here and checking out this Fallout 76 video. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at a melee weapon that was introduced with the Skyline Valley DLC. That's right, we're going to be taking a look at the V63 Zweihaender, or Zweihaender, whatever it's called. But anyway, as always, timestamps will be in the description, so let's head on over and check it out. So to give you a little bit of context as to why we're making this video today, yesterday Fallout 76 received an update, and in the patch notes it states, V63 Zweihaender now benefits from the Science perk card family, Science, Science Expert and Science Master. So if you connect the dots and if you max rank all of those cards out, you'll now actually be dealing an extra 30% damage with this weapon, and for any melee build this weapon is definitely a ton of fun to use. But to give you a little bit of context and understanding of how to actually get this weapon, all you literally need to do, and it's so straightforward, just play through the Skyline Valley DLC. Once you play through all the missions, I'm nearly sure you get this weapon at the very end, you'll actually unlock the V63 Zweihaender, or Zweihaender, or whatever it's called. But yeah, that's all you got, and that's pretty much all you need to do. Just play through the story and you'll get this weapon unlocked. Now for some people, yes, it might take them a little bit of time depending on how long you actually invest into this game on a daily basis and so forth, but for me and for a lot of other players, it only really takes maybe an hour and a half to actually just blast through the entire story, and there you go, you get all of the unique weapons that come with that DLC. So yeah, that's how you get it. That's one of the reasons why we're making this today. The Science perk cards will now actually work at this weapon. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at the modifications, and we'll also take a look at the legendary effects, and then the build, and we'll do some testing. So let's hop on over and take a look. Taking a look at the legendary effects and the mods. So just a quickly note, when it comes to this weapon, unfortunately you can't modify the legendary effects and there are no additional mods. So this portion of the video might be particularly quick. So with the legendary effects, we do have plus 50% more power attack damage, or sorry, 50% more damage when your target is below 40% health, plus 40% power attack damage, and then minus 40% damage taken while power attacking. So those are the legendary effects. I'm really sure that's like executioners. We also have defenders in there. So those are the set legendary effects. Pretty much anyone who picks this weapon up for the first time, everyone is going to get these particular legendary effects. It would be great to obviously modify this, especially because it is a melee weapon, you know, things like faster swing speed, because as you can see there, the speed of the weapon is slow, and you probably will notice yourself when you do use this for the first time, it is a little bit slow. It's not as slow as other weapons, but it would be nice to have a little bit more faster swing speed when it comes to this. And then again, another thing, because with melee builds, obviously the more strength that you have, plus 3 to strength in there would be nice, because you'll then be dealing more damage. But as you can see there, the damage that we are doing at the moment is 650, and we also are getting that 842 energy damage. Now I'm just going to quickly note those damage numbers there for a moment, because obviously, as I previously mentioned, the science perks will obviously boost this, and we'll get into that momentarily. So with that being said, this weapon can't be modified. That's what you get. That's what you have to kind of deal with. So what we'll do is we'll hop on over and we'll take a look at the build. Taking a look at the build, and with most of my builds, pretty much I do tend to run low health, so I will be spec'd in with Nerd Rage, just to kind of give us that increase in damage. So with Nerd Rage, while below 20% health, gain 40 damage resistance, 20% increased damage, and 15% AP regen. Now, when it comes to melee builds, look, there's a lot of experienced melee characters out there. You'll probably know yourself what kind of cards to run with. I'm not going to get too bogged down with the build for now, because come December, a lot of this will actually be changing when it comes to endurance, and then when it comes to luck. So we're going to have a lot of points that we can actually work with, so a lot of these things will be swapped out and things will be increased. So just not saying take this with a grain of salt, but just kind of focus on the main sort of cards that you need for this build. And then also as well, look, I know for a lot of people, there's some people out there who don't really like to run low health builds. They kind of prefer to run full health. That's great, you know, like I love running full health as well, but just to kind of get that increased damage, I do like running low health. So again, we are spec'd in the Nerd Rage, but the main card you want to focus on, or the main perks that you want to be looking at, is Slugger, Expert Slugger, and Master Slugger, obviously to give us that 60% increased damage to two-handed melee weapons. Now I also have Incisor in there, so your melee and unarmed weapons ignore 75% of your target's armor, so it's kind of giving us that sort of anti-armor effect on top of the effects that we already have. Now the last card that I'm going to pretty much kind of touch on just for a little bit is Blocker. So as I've mentioned, yes, the weapon itself is particularly slow when it comes to the swing speed, but just from my own sort of testing, I have found that with blocker, it does benefit in a big way, because obviously with melee builds, you're going to be up close and personal, you're not really going to be sneaking all of that much, so there's going to be a lot of focus coming on you in particular. So to kind of mitigate that incoming damage, I have found that popping in blocker and maxing that out, take 45% less damage from your opponent's melee attacks, is definitely a great card to pop in there. Now, if you wanted to, you could swap that out maybe for the likes of Barbarian, you could max that out if you want to, or if you wanted to, just to kind of, you know, mitigate the swing speed, you could pop in the likes of Martial Artist. So as you can see there, your melee weapons weigh 60% less, and you can swing them 30% faster. I have noticed when I have used this card, the weapon obviously will swing a lot faster, and it does benefit it in a big way. So look, if you're a little bit more experienced and you kind of have maybe better effects on your armor, or you like to run certain things that kind of mitigate even needing blocker in there in the first place, then of course, look, swap it out and pop in Martial Artist or pop in something else. It's entirely up to yourself. Or if you want to get rid of Incisor, that's sort of the trade-off that you want to kind of deal with on your own sort of thing. So look, I'm not saying that this is what you need to have, but the main cards you want to be looking at to obviously increase the damage is Master Slugger, Expert Slugger, and Slugger, because that will give you 60% increased damage to your two-handed melee weapons. Moving in, we do have Concentrated Fire in there in Perception, just so we can target specific limbs. I'm not going to get too bogged down in Endurance, because this will be changing, and then also Luck will be changing, but we do have Life Giver, Iron Stomach, Thirst Quencher. Solo Powered is definitely a good one to pop in, because you will gain +3 to your strength between the hours of 6 AM and 6 PM. And then also we do have Radical, so the greater your rads, the greater your strength, and the more strength that you have, the more damage you're going to be dealing. So also as well, yes, we do have Rejuvenated in there. I am running kind of a couple of food buffs, we'll get into those momentarily, but this is a card I do love to run. Now this won't obviously sort of benefit the actual food buffs themselves, but it's a nice card to have in there to gain better benefits from being fully fed and fully hydrated. I like using it. Look, if you want to swap that out and use something else and whatever you want, it's entirely up to yourself, but I just like having it in there. And then lastly, we do have Fireproof. Now moving into Charisma, Strange in Numbers, we've got Suppressor, Tenderizer, Party Boy, and then also as well we have Overly Generous. So rads increase your chance to inflict 50 rads with melee attacks, so nice one to have in there. Then again, as I mentioned before, we do have Nerd Rage, and also I do have Makeshift Warrior. So pretty much with that, your melee weapons will break 50% slower, because obviously that's sort of the main weapon you're going to be using. It's nice to have that reduced sort of conditional damage there. Now, talking about the science perks, and as we pretty much mentioned, we're doing in and around about maybe 650 damage with this, but now the fact that you can actually utilize the science perks, you can pop in Science Expert, you can also pop in Science Master, and also max rank of Science. Then if we hop on back out here and see exactly what it's doing now, as we can see, it's doing 676. So yeah, a bit of an increase there. We're getting 30% extra on top of what we're getting. So it is kind of great to have that sort of damage number sort of effect there. You know, the main damage is 676, and then obviously, as you can see there, the energy damage we're getting now is 899. So couple that together, it's a nice little combo that you're getting with this weapon. And when we get into the testing, you'll kind of see why. Now moving back into the perks here, so let's hop on back over. As we can see here in Agility, we do have Action Boy, just to help with AP regeneration, Born Survivor, Adrenaline, we have Sneak in there just to kind of help with that first sort of initial sneak attack damage, and then also Ninja to obviously help with that sneak attack damage. So sneak attacks with melee weapons do an additional 90% sneak attack damage, a great one to have in there. And then also to help with the damage mitigation, just to kind of sort of help with blocker, I do have Dodgy in there. So pretty much with this, avoid 20% of incoming damage at the cost of 30 action points per hit. Moving into luck, we do have Bloody Mess, so max rank of Bloody Mess. We have Ricochet in there to gain 18% chance to deflect back some enemies' range damage. We also have Luck in the Draw to help with repairing the weapon when we're actually using it. Then also Class Freak, Curator for better benefits with Bobbleheads, and we'll get into the Bobbleheads momentarily. But pretty much with this, they'll last twice as long, and then also Magazines will last twice as long. Then also as well, we do have starch genes, but bear in mind, starch genes will be moving into endurance. So also as well, just to help boost up all the special points so we can have all of these lovely perk cards in there, we pretty much have max rank of legendary luck, legendary charisma, strength, agility, intelligence, and endurance. But definitely one to kind of focus on is max rank of legendary strength, because as I've mentioned so many times before in all of my sort of melee videos, the more strength that you have, the more damage you're going to be dealing with your melee weapons. So a great one to have in there. So yeah, that's the build. Again, look, we kind of focused on the main sort of priority cards, if you want to call them. We've covered those. If you're, and more than likely, if there's more experienced melee characters out there, you'll know yourself. There's cards here that you can swap out. There's more things you can pop in. Whatever you want to do, you know, mix and match. That's what I'll say. So yeah, that's the build. If you want to pause the video here, you can go ahead and do so. So taking a look at the effects, and we'll get into the special points and mutations and things like that now. What we'll do is we'll kind of go around through and see exactly what sort of aid buffs and food buffs that we're using. So as you can see there, I do have in the strength bobblehead. That will give us an increase to our to our strength category with +2 to our strength. Now moving down here, I am using the Vault 94 Thorn Armor. So melee attacks cause +250 bleed damage over 10 seconds. We'll get into the effects now in just a few moments as well. But as we go down here, as we can see, the food buffs that I'm going to be utilizing is Deathclaw Wellington, because that will give us +6 to our strength. We're also using pemmican to give us +6 to our endurance. We also have in Tasty Yogwai Roast, that will give us +170% melee damage. And then as we go down into our mutations, because we are running low health, we do have Adrenal Reaction in there to give us +50% damage. And then also as well, we do have Carnivore, mainly because obviously this will boost all of the food buffs that we're taking here above us. And then we got Herd Mentality, so +2 to our special when grouped, -2 when solo. We also have Marsupial. Everyone runs Marsupial. We also have Speed Demon in there, mainly just for the movement speed, the reload speed and things like that. Obviously you can't reload melee weapons, but the main focus is the +20 move speed. It's always great to have. And then of course, because with most melee builds, the best mutation to run is Twisted Muscles, because as you can see there, it will give us +25% melee damage and then also a chance to cripple limbs. So those are the mutations, those are the food buffs that we're going to be running. And then also as well, I'll get into some of the magazines now in a second, but as you can see there with our special stats, currently at the moment we are getting +65 to our strength, 20 to perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. And then when we kind of go into the food and aid buffs, one of the things I want to talk about when it comes to the aid buffs, a great magazine to help with this is Grognak the Barbarian. That will give us, as you can see there at the very bottom, +15% melee damage for 1 hour, and that's with the curator card perk card on. So yeah, good one to have in there. And then also as well, look, if you want to use Backwoodsman 6, I know with the update yesterday there was a bit of a nerf to that, so yeah, it's kind of debatable. I will need to pick up another Backwoodsman 6 if you still want to run it, or look, let me know what your sort of tests are with Backwoodsman 6, if it's still as beneficial as it was prior to yesterday's update. But again, look, there's other sort of magazines that you can kind of run, but Grognak the Barbarian is definitely a great one, so we're going to pop that on there now. And then also as well, when it comes to some of the other aid buffs, again, with most melee builds, Fury is a great one because that will give us +30% melee damage, +25 damage resistance. Other than that as well, we do have Psycho in there, Psycho buff, because +25% damage, and then also as well +3 to our strength. So even if we pop in a Psycho buff there, and great, I've become addicted, so let me just quickly get rid of that. Do I have any addiction? I don't. I'll have to get rid of those. So brilliant, I've become addicted to Psycho buff. But anyway, moving into the food buffs, we do have Deathclaw Wellington in there. So look, again, if you want to take that, pemmican, things to kind of help with AP regeneration, slice of birthday cake, but obviously one of the main ones as well is Tasty Yogwai Roast. That is a great one to have in there. Now also as well, I would definitely recommend Vintage Meyer Magic Moonshine or Vintage Nuka Shine, because at the bottom there, as you can see, it will give us +100% melee damage, +25% damage resistance, +4 to our strength, -2 to our intelligence, and -2 to our charisma for 4 minutes. So if I take that, as you can see, with all of our buffs that are running here at the moment and our bobbleheads and all that kind of stuff, you can see there now that our strength has gone up to +72. Our perception, yeah, has kind of stayed in sort of the same sort of thing, and then as you go down to charisma, intelligence, and luck, and so forth and so on. But the main focus is strength. And then if we go back into the actual weapon itself, we're now dealing 740 damage. And as you can see there, with our energy damage, 1056. So definitely a great set of buffs to utilize together. Obviously, the bobblehead, I did mention that as well. I'm nearly sure, but look, if I didn't, I'll go back up. The +2 to our strength there with the strength bobblehead, a great one to get your hands on as well. So yeah, those are all the buffs. Those are all pretty much everything that I'm running here. Just to kind of quickly touch on the armor, I am using the Thorn armor. Pretty much I am using the unyielding effect because I am a low health build. But the main sort of set bonus effects that we have with this, as you can see there, there's 5. So we do have the melee attackers bleed for 125 damage over 5 seconds. Melee attacks cause plus 250 bleed damage, plus 15% reduced detection chance, and then 5% less noise while sneaking. And then also as well, I do have the brawling mod popped in there as well, so plus 10% unarmed damage. And then also as well with the actual legendary effects, I've mentioned unyielding, so that's given us +3 to all our special stats. I also have +2 to strength in there, so again, you know yourself, that's going to give us more damage. And then lastly, I do have the Sentinels effect, so 75% chance to reduce damage by 15% while not moving. So what I'll do is I'll pop in all of the legendary effects and the special stats into a pin comment below so you can check that out. And then also as well, if you want a guide on sort of mutations and things like that, I'll pop that in a pin comment below as well. And then also look, you can click on the link on the top right hand corner of the screen. Alrighty, for the part that you all want to see, the actual weapon testing. So what I've done is I fast travel over here to West Tech, and what we're going to do is we're going to try this out on some super mutants. So what we'll do is we'll try some sneak attacks, and then also as well we'll try some VATS attacks as well, just to see exactly what it's like. We've got a level 100 super mutant, and boom, there you go, one shot. One hit, level 100 super mutant hound. And we have, well, that was kind of, he did actually block that, so what does he have on him there? Chameleon. Yeah, I'll take that, and I'll hopefully, well, actually no, I'll just script that. We also have a couple of 100s in here. There we go, one hit. Let's see if we can get another one here. Let's try a VATS attack, see if there's anyone down here. Oh, there is. Yep, one hit in VATS. Pretty much everything is just one hit in VATS, and then obviously you can kind of deduce that, like, going up against ghouls and Scorched and human NPCs, robots, all that kind of stuff, they're all going to be basically one hit as well. Obviously, if they do block you, that's a different story. You might need to pop in maybe an extra shot into them, but, you know, it is what it is. But going up against most sort of enemies that you find throughout the wasteland, you know, they're all mainly going to be one hit, and that's pretty much it. As you can see with the swing speed there, yes, it would be awesome if we could benefit from faster swing speed. Yeah. It would just be awesome. And then that's pretty much what I'm saying, that like if you wanted to try and even swap out blocker, or you wanted to get rid of incisor, you could do that, and you can pop in martial artist, because you can even see yourself, like, I mean, it's not slow, but it could really benefit from the faster swing speed, which would be pretty much, you know, it would be a big win for this. But who knows, maybe in a future update we might be able to modify this in the legendary effects. Here's hoping, but I'm not going to hold out too much hope. A lot of the unique weapons that we have in this game, you can't really modify. Some of them we can now, but there's not really a lot that we can. But yeah, look, we're just kind of, you know, clutching at straws here at the moment. But yeah, look, when it comes to this, pretty much level 100 super mutants, all one hit. You know, I'm not really, you know, like it's just kind of OP when it comes to all this kind of stuff. And then obviously, look, if you go up against the likes of Scorch Beasts, and I've tested this against Scorch Beasts, like, yeah, it takes about maybe 4 or 5 hits, maybe a little bit more. You know, again, look, there's more experienced melee builds out there that can obviously, you know, increase the damage even further. They can obviously get better effects on your armor, and, you know, there's a lot more that you can probably do with this build to really increase your strength and your damage and all of that kind of stuff. And there's other buffs and things like that that people tend to use to really maximize this kind of stuff, but I'm kind of using sort of like the typical melee attributes and tools of the trade for melee characters. You know, I've kind of run through everything that you kind of need for this, and as you can see, we're just, you know, we're just slicing through enemies like butter. You know, there's no issue with this. We're we're not even breaking a sweat with this. You know, I've been kind of chatting about this for the last couple of minutes. I'm not really worrying about, you know, like my incoming damage, my health, or, you know, I'm confident that I'm able to get through all of this quite easily. There you go. We've just gone through about, what, 5 or 6 super mutants there? Yeah, so it's kind of to summarize, it is pretty good. I mean, you know, there's not really much point in me going over to, you know, test this out on Scorched and Ghouls and things like that. Like, you can kind of see already that it's just, yeah, it is what it is. It's kind of proven that it is a really, really good melee weapon. Going up against the likes of Mylar Queens and things like that, like, again, yeah, maybe 5, 6 probably hits that you probably might need to put into them, but as you can see, it is just a lot of fun to use. I know a lot of people like to use this weapon, especially for running around West Tech, you know, double XP and all that kind of stuff. It is a nice little weapon to have in here. Again, you know, maybe even the auto axe might be a little bit, well, it is definitely a lot better, especially going up against world bosses and stuff like that. That's not even a competition, so I'm not even going to go there. But look, it's an awesome weapon to get your hands on. And as we've said, I'm not saying it's easy to get, but it's considerably straightforward. Just play through the Skyline Valley DLC, do all that kind of stuff. Once you get through it, I'm nearly sure you get it near the end of the actual storyline. It's given to you near the end, I believe, or maybe sort of halfway through it. I'm not too sure, but yeah. And look, you can kind of blast through that thing in about maybe an hour if you have the time, maybe a little bit longer. It just really depends on how fast you want to run through it. But look, we're not really having much issue here with this. So, and look, you know, there's not much point in me going over and testing this out on robots as well, because it's just going to be the exact same story. It's just going to be the exact same sort of thing, but you can see the kind of damage that we're inflicting on all of these enemies. And just from going through there, as you can see, like, we're now up to what, 752 damage, 1079. Yeah, look, it's just a good weapon. It really is. And of course, look, there are better weapons out there. You know, if you're looking for those boss killer sort of things, again, as I mentioned, auto axe is a great one to kind of utilize as well. You know, there are other ones out there that you can use, but again, look, it's just really fun. And hopefully, yeah, look, if you do get this, you enjoy it yourself. And again, look, let me know below in the comments what sort of build you kind of like to run with this, and what sort of perks you like to run, and buffs and all that sort of thing. You tell me what your V63 Zweihaender, whatever this is, whatever this is called, whatever sort of build that you like to run with this. So yeah, there we go. Let's wrap this up. However, that's everything for today. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments on the V63 Zweihaender. And as always, if you found today's video informative, consider giving the video a like, and consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on future videos. To our channel members and subscribers, thank you for your continued support and helping the channel to grow. If you're picking up anything over on the Bethesda Gear store and you'd like to support the channel, you can use my creator code BT76Fallout until October 29th to receive 20% off your entire purchase. Until next time, stay safe out there in the wasteland, welcome to Vault 93, and I'll catch you all in the next video.